Hey, what's going on, everybody? Phil here, and I've got three upcoming videos, of which this is the first, about a Res Ops tournament I went to last weekend. Um, Not to spoil too much, I went 1 and 2 in this tournament. I was using a list inspired by slash, I'm not sure if it was completely stolen from a player named Brooke in the UK. We'll talk about the list in a second. And I'm excited for these upcoming videos where I went 1 and 2 because for me, it was easy to quickly go, well, I didn't get the easy res ops missions that my opponent got. Oh, I got screwed by the dice. But looking at it and thinking harder, it's easy to spot places where I could have played better, maybe made less obvious plays, and actually come out on top. So I think I'm going to address those at the end of each game, and I think hopefully you guys can learn with me, and it'll be a good experience. So to start off, let's talk about the list that I brought. So I brought a Dartok as a hacker. And I did this over bit and kiss because hacking protection isn't my big game plan in this list. I don't have a missile bot, I don't have an anathematic. And while bit and kiss can oblivion, the Dartok can carbonite. And I knew coming into this tournament there'd be a good amount of Morats. And so I value that um, carbonite a lot. Also, the Dartok's a little harder to take out by enemy hackers because he has dogged. Uh, we have a Caliban engineer. If it sees an angle, it can go do work, and also is there to heal the Sphinx if needed. We've got a mentor lieutenant. Because, later in the list, we'll go into it. Because I have a Sphinx and because I have a Rassiat, I have less orders on the board already. So the counterintelligence is nice. But to be honest, the real reason is because I don't have many other choices of a cheap lieutenant like this, and also easy to hide with its decoy and um, camouflage. Imatron, just a cheap order. Sphinx, really the main character of this list. I want to get more play in with it because I saw its potential and I saw how I messed it up, and it's kind of a finesse piece. Hopefully, tags how they interact with change doesn't how they interact with cover doesn't change too much in N5, so that the Sphinx stays where it is. Because while I didn't have the most success with it, I see its potential. How I could have played it better. I think it's a really fun, exciting piece. Two Icadrons, amazing defensive pieces. Ardrone, again, a good defensive piece. The Rassiat. Now, this is also another finesse piece that I could have played better. And that's one of the exciting things about this list is there's so much potential to play the list well, and I haven't gotten there yet. So, it's got its shotgun to shotgun things in the back. I don't really want to do shotgun many things in the face unless it's really good because I'll probably go down with my 1 wound. He's pretty good at CC with Natural Born Warrior, D charges, MA2, and CC 21. And of course, parachutist deployment zone super powerful. Liberto, amazing offensive, amazing defensive. What can you say? Going to be weaker in 5 without that shotgun template, but we'll see. It might still be worth that cheap mine layer. Another R drone, a speculo to deal with things that maybe the Sphinx can't deal with. Maybe clean up a path for the Rassiat. Dotarazai, because you can't go wrong with a Dotarazai, one of the best warbands in the game. A Gaki, just for a cheap little thing, and a Preda. And again, I think I might have mentioned this before, but the reason I like the Preda over the Taiga is its defensive utility, which is being dogged with that chain rifle, as opposed to the smaller chain Colt and no dogged on the Taiga. Now, one interesting about this list is the Rassiat and the Sphinx in Group 1. And the reason I did this, I actually started with the Rassiat in Group 2 and thought to myself, well, I'll just have to decide if the Speculo or the Rassiat is going to be the better tool to clear the way for the Sphinx. However, upon further thought, and I actually do like how I have it and would probably keep it this way, I like the Rassiat in Group 1 better, so that the Speculo, instead of choosing between the Rassiat or the Speculo clearing the way for the Sphinx, I'm choosing if the Speculo decides to clear the way for the Rassiat or the Sphinx. Because they both have different attack vectors, different attack strategies. So I actually liked it like this, and I would keep it like this. Um, so moving on to my opponent's list, my first round was against Cosmo, and he brought a very different list than what you're probably used to seeing in a Cosmo list. And the groups might not be correct, but other than that, this list I believe is pretty accurate. So he has one para commando in group one. No, sorry, groups might not be right, but the para commando very useful for um, res ops missions. You know, you can drop down and dominate a zone, surprise your opponent. They might not be ready for parachutists. Of course, if you're missing two things, people probably immediately think Margot and Duroc. But it's an interesting pick. And then again, the other paracommando, this one with D-charge is also very good for doing these classifieds that might require D-charges. Other than that, this is pretty straightforward. A rocket, decoy, and lieutenant, a paramedic, forward observer, a Volkalac. You know, this is a well-known five-man defensive corps. Volkalac's a beast. Here's something that's way different and interesting is this Cosmo Soldat Harris. So the Cosmo Soldat MSV portable autocannon is a pretty decent ARO piece. You know, it's one wound NWI, so practically two wounds. Armor 6, which I didn't know, and trust me, I felt this game. And I think it's a good piece. I mean, maybe if you're going fully optimized, you know, the Unknown Stranger is where you want to go. But I think it was a fun piece in this game. And the Cosmo Soldat T2 rifle plus one burst. It didn't do too much in this game, but I can see the potential. You know, it's nice. It's a specialist. Tier 2 rifle plus one burst can really put the hurt on. Heavy flamethrower is nice. Panzerfaust, if it gets caught out, is good. Stranic Doctor, I'm not like super high on this, but it has a template, which is nice. And doctoring, I don't know if Cosmos Soldats have cubes or not, but not terrible. Warcore, an easy Varangian, a bear, and Usha McNeil. You know, this is more, you know, everyone's seen this in a Cosmo list. Usha's an amazing attack piece. Bear also an amazing attack piece. Not the irregular bear, but you know, I guess I keep mentioning N5, and I think that's okay with it right around the corner. I think the regular bear is actually going to be better than the irregular bear with the shotgun change. So going on to the game, these were my three um, missions I had to do: survival, just stay alive, place beepers with triangulate signal. I like this one, and decapitation. You know, I'm pretty sure it's when I picked it, I'm pretty sure it's easy to determine who the enemy's lieutenant is in Cosmo. You know, either the decoy or the regular rocket, or Wallace. Um, I forget what I tossed in order to take this one. But going into it, you know, I have the Rassiat, I have the Specula, I have the Sphinx. I was pretty confident I'd be able to do it. Going into our um, things that we picked, the combat scenario, I forget what it's called, but the things that modify the actual game table. He picked urban combat. Everyone moves 1 inch, but if you have terrain total, you move 2 inches. This is going to be awesome for me with the Sphinx because I'm going to be able to move 8-6. And then space combat, I picked because I wanted to take the first option where I get to place two white noise zones. And I'm excited to put these in places where I think that the unknown stranger might want to attack, and you know, make it so he can't even see. Of course, I didn't know he wasn't going to bring the unknown stranger, and you know, hindsight's 2020. I would have placed them differently if I knew he was going to have an MSV ARO. But yeah, I think this one's a good pick for me. So moving to deployment, I win the lieutenant role, and I am going to be going first. Um, you can see my white noise zones I placed here, places I thought the unknown stranger might want to go, but that's not going to be the case. Deploying first, I have my Imatron, my Dartok hacker. These hack troops are my beacons. Here we have a Preda, Ikadron, Ardron Flash Pulse, Datarazai, Ardron Flash Pulse. Not the best placement, but a little too aggressive for me. But going first is not the end of the world. another Icadron, a Mentor, his Decoy. Let's go to the other side of my deployment. Other side of my deployment, we see our other beacon. And down here's a Gaki. Uh, here's a Liberto. Here's the Liberto's mine. And here is my Caliban Engineer Prawn. Awesome. And I spend a command token to hold an extra reserve. My reserve is going to be my Sphinx and my Rasyat. The symbiomates you might be seeing are my HVTs. I think, and there's another one over there. And then these are my objectives. One thing, I haven't played a whole lot of Res Ops. I would put more thought, and throughout the rest of the tournament, I put more thought into where I put my beacons, because I will get punished for this one being placed so out in the open like that, and also the other one, which you will see placed out in the open here. So kind of too casual with those placements. Okay, moving on to my, let's see my opponent's deployment before we get into my reserves. So we have a rocket forward observer, rocket paramedic, or sorry, regular rocket. Sorry, here's a regular rocket down below. Let's start this over. Here's a regular rocket down below, rocket forward observer, uh, regular rocket, Volkolak missile launcher, rocket paramedic. A small nitpick, I would make this the forward observer, and these two the regular ones, because this one right here is easy to get, and so it doesn't make so good use of your decoy in my mind. Here we have a bear. Let's go to the other side of his deployment. Okay, so here we have a Varangian. We have the Bear Pod controller, a War Core, Tier 2 Kosmo Soldat guy, the Stranic Doctor, and here finally we have the AROing portable autocannon. So one thing I will say about this list, if you're looking at this deployment, he's got some pretty powerful AROs between the Cosmo Soldat and the Volkolak. Now going back to my reserves, I decide to put the Sphinx here, chillin', right about on the 12-inch line, and my Speculo I place over here. There's the Speculo, and as his reserve, he puts Usha here blocking the stairs. I don't mind that at all. I think about what I want to do for my first turn, and my thought is I'm going to attack with the Speculo base here, shotgun, hopefully it kills Usha. Rasyat will come here, shotgun, kill his lieutenant. So that's my plan, but that's not how it works out. So let's go back let's see what actually happens. So my first order, I come here, I base this rocket. So the rocket decides to hit me with 2 chain rifles, and Ushia is going to dodge. I'm going to get surprise attack on Usha. I'm pretty happy with this. I put shotgun templates, like this into these two. Unfortunately for me, Usha succeeds her dodge. The rocket goes down to unconscious, and the Speculo goes to unconscious. So that kind of, makes it so I'm not going to be able to do my Rasyat play here. And I think here's where I make kind of one of the mistakes of my game plan is I decide I'm going to use the Sphinx to come and attack the Cosmo Soldat, which isn't great. So as you might recall, sorry, a little zoom trouble here. As you might recall, my Sphinx is over here, so he moves forward. War Core discovers him. I think, whatever. I kill the War Core, continue moving, go into camo, come here, fight the Cosmo Soldat. Spend many, many orders fighting the Cosmo Soldat. And with his armor 9 in cover, it doesn't work out for me very well. So at the end of many engagements, the Sphinx has lost 2 wounds and the Cosmo Soldat has lost none. But I decide when to retreat when there's enough time left, so I am able to get back to safety with the Sphinx. I get back to here, and I do that by, coming back over this way. Remember, I am 8-6 because of the rule. I come back over this way, right around here, but well, I think I come to here. I shoot Usha and kill her from there. Well, I don't kill her. I put her unconscious, and then come around and go back into camo. So, not a great first turn, but it is what it is. I think we'll talk about what could have been better um, afterwards. Up, and I actually did miss one thing. Also, when I'm fighting this Cosmo Soldat, after taking 2 wounds, I think, oh shit, I need to do something about this. This isn't a good enough fight for me. I think I was 4-14s versus 2-10s. The Rassiat actually does drop here. The Stranix succeeds its dodge and just turns around. The Rassiat kills the Stranic the next order by basing it, but gets glued in the process. So not like a juicy, amazing play with the Rassiat that you kind of put it in your list for, but it makes it so that the Cosmo Soldat will be burst 1 when I'm fighting it, which is much better. But same result. I can't put any wounds on it, and I have to run away. So that's the end of my turn. I have lost my Speculo. I've got my Rassiat glued, but my Sphinx with only 1 wound is still alive back here in camo, feeling pretty safe. Here's the aftermath. I've got my glued Rassiat. Stranic's gone, but that's it. Here's the aftermath here. Apologies for the blurry picture. We've got an unconscious Speculo. We've got Usha unconscious, and we've got the Rocket unconscious. So, again, sorry for the blurry picture. I hope it's not too much of a headache, but this is where most of the action is going to happen during his turn. And at the end of my turn, my Speculo does regenerate. So, what does he want to do? He thinks about impetuousing here, but not a good idea because he doesn't want to give my Rassiat a free dodge. So he skips his impetuous, and his tier 2 Cosmo Soldat. We'll go back to that for a moment. Tier 2 Cosmo Soldat, just in an attempt to stay out of 8 inches, but he can't. He comes over here. Rassiat attempts its, I'm glued dodge and gets absolutely obliterated with the tier 2 rifle. So going back to the apologies blurry picture. Now he's free to move his bear without making me dodge, or without letting my Rassiat dodge. He moves. I dodge because I can hear him, and I move into this location here. So now we have a Speculo here. He then, and it's more here, like it's in base to base with Usha because I want to be able to shotgun the bear. So he comes around and puts a chain rifle on the Speculo, 2 chain rifles, and the Speculo board and shotguns back, hitting all 3. It wounds the bear, it kills the Rokat, but Usha is still alive. So what does he do? He takes his paramedic, comes around and revives Usha with a gizmo, or whatever it's called, the paramedic gun, medikit. And now Usha stands up and is engaged with the Speculo who is here. And then he takes his bear, climbs up on the wall, gets into silhouette contact here, burst twos the Speculo, and puts it down. And then he just kind of repositions a bit. Usha comes up to here, prone, and the bear goes here, prone. So that's the end of his turn, and I'm feeling okay because pretty much his whole turn was spent, killing my Rassiat and Speculo, which I'd kind of already written off. So not feeling too bad. So, my second turn, I'm going to go with the Speculo, or with the Sphinx again. We do the same thing. We come around here. He decides not to discover, so I actually come all the way up here. And we take a lot of fights. And again, it takes me ages to kill him. It is what it is. Then I come out a little bit, put him down very quickly with my Spitfire, and that is the entirety of my turn. This takes a lot of fighting. So the Sphinx is left here, and just with my group 2 orders, I will run my Preda up to about here just to, protect my Sphinx a bit because I did not have enough orders to put the Sphinx back in camo. So this is how my turn 2 ends. We've got a Sphinx here, and we've got the Preda here. So what does he decide to do? First, he spends orders on one of his paracommandos. It drops in right here. The Sphinx hears it and turns around. He comes up here and submachine guns the Preda first. I can dodge again, so I get into cover, and I'm facing him now. But the Preda does go down. It's outside of 8, so the Preda doesn't even get an ARO. Then we do one face-to-face where he moves forward and shoots me. It's inconclusive. Then he bases me and shoots me, which I think was objectively a mistake. I think he should have just submachine gunned me from here the whole time, because when he bases me, I CC him with my Sphinx. He shoots me with his submachine gun. I'm CC 20, and I just like paste the paracommando. So yeah, not sure if that was the best move, but that's what he did. And let's just see what we have for pictures. Yeah, this is where he based me and I smushed him. And then on his turn, what he does for the rest of his turn is the bear comes around and tries to kill the Caliban who was here. So he comes here, he discovers me. He's going to discover shoot me. I dodge. Um, I dodge here. He throws a grenade, but I succeed. He comes here again. Chain rifles. This time he chain rifles the Caliban who dodges, but fails its dodge and goes unconscious. And so he ends his turn with his bear right here. So on the bottom of, or the top of turn 3, the Sphinx will place a beeper here. He will come back, retreat, 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 mow down the bear. Come up here. The Liberto, who was here, will come around, see the Varangian. The Varangian delays. I put shotguns into it. He goes dogged. I do end my movement here, though, so I'm still seeing it. So I walk this way. The dogged Varangian chain rifles me. Let's clean this up a little. I survive the chain colt. I place a beeper here. Icadron comes up, places a beeper here. Our drone comes up, places a beeper here, and Sphinx goes back into camo. So now, unfortunately, I haven't achieved anything for killing his lieutenants. I've got a lot of beepers down and one in his TZ, and a lot of my army is still alive. So I'm feeling okay. As long as not too much stuff dies, I have 6 points here. All right, so what he does is Usha comes down here on the bottom of his turn 3, puts down smoke. A paracommando comes in, decharges here, and he wins. And the reason that he wins is we look at what he had to do. So he has to interrupt the signal. Oh, I forgot to mention which turn it happened. I didn't take good notes on this, but I will go back to show pictures of what happened with my beacons. Is there were points during his turn where the Kosmo Soldat mowed down this beacon in 1 or 2 orders, and my other beacon, which is here, the Volkolak was able to jump and take out with one volley of missiles. Um, Apologies for not knowing when that happened in the game, but it was just one order on a couple of his turns. So for that one, he is scoring 3 points. For this one, dominate the zones. He was able to dominate that zone A with that paracommando in Usha, but he wasn't able to dominate this one because he had no units in it. And for Cyber Siege, he's going to get 3 points. So 3 for this, 2 for this, um, 3 for this, and he is going to win the game 9-6. Uh, so it's a good game. And right, like I said, in a couple of the games in this tournament, my immediate reaction is to like make a couple excuses, right? Like, if I had, you know, this one, and I could, and the surviving is 229 for me, 135 for him. If I had this one, I could dominate easy. If I had this one, it probably would have been actually tough for me. But this Cyber Siege one is so easy. If I have the Rassiat and him with his paracommandos. However, let's go back to the game and think about just one of course many possible ways I could have played it better. So when this initial plan didn't work, um, I could have, instead of going over there, we both agreed Speculo can squeeze through the armory, right? The Speculo could have come here and fought the Volkolak. The Volkolak would have been in zero range. He doesn't have MSV. It would have been a much better fight. If I take that out, his lieutenant is now more vulnerable. And if I can, retreat with the Sphinx in camo, then, later turns I can come around and what can he do against the Sphinx, right? Also, if you'll recall later in the game, his Usha moved up, which Usha is prone to do. And if I had not have to bail my Sphinx out with my Rassiat, I also would have had an angle on his lieutenant with the Rassiat here. So this is just one way I could have played much better and possibly won the game. Of course, there's probably many, many possibilities of how it could have been played better, and I could have won. So I think just the important lesson here is when things don't go your way, don't think about why they didn't go your way in terms of things that are out of your control, but instead what you could have done differently to actually win. So I think important lessons learned from this game. I could have played it much better. It was a fun game, amazing opponent, and I think it's good to learn these kinds of lessons. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks so much for everybody watching, and I will catch you in the next one.